Under nationalism in India, we have already studied that the non cooperation movement was about to start in 1920, and what were the various causes leading to the starting of the non cooperation movement under the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi. But before we go further or move further, what we must understand is that what was the meaning of Swaraj? As Swaraj, right? The word itself tells that now the Indians wanted self rule, Swaraj, clear? And under this, it implied self government. People wanted that their representatives should be there, they should have the full freedom in internal matters. India might remain the part of British Empire and the sovereignty would also remain with the British Crown. But Swaraj was not anywhere near complete independence. Later on, we will study that what was the difference between Swaraj and complete independence. One more important thing which we need to study before we move further is that how the unity in the national movement became possible under the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi. We already know that why the freedom struggle was not successful, but the reason was that the Indians were not cooperating. Clear? It means that the movements or the small revolts which we have had were localized. Now, Mahatma Gandhi had already understood that this was the problem, and for this, he need to bring the Muslims and the Hindus together. Therefore, Mahatma Gandhi adopted the method of non-violence, about which I have already explained to you, and he wanted that both the communities, that is, the Hindus and the Muslims, maximum participation should be there in this movement. And we know that because of the treaty which was signed after the First World War, the Ottoman Empire was dismembered, because of which the Muslims were also not very happy with the British. Then Mahatma Gandhi used some common symbols to attract the masses and to make the program more constructive. Clear? So that was like charkha. He adopted charkha and it became a symbol of India's freedom, and it also represented that Indians can be self reliant. How? By using charkha for manufacturing cloth. We already know, we have studied under industrialization, that cloth had been started manufacturing in the industry or in the factories in Britain, where the industrial revolution had already set in the second half of the 18th century. As a result, Britishers were using India both as a market for raw material and to sell the ready goods. As a result, the Indian industry was already suffering and the economy was bad. Upon that, the First World War happened. So, Gandhiji wanted that by adopting the charkha, that is, the Indians should at least spin that much of cloth as is required by a single person for him or herself. Then Gandhiji also incorporated some social reform movements. We know that some the Indian society was suffering from some very bad social evils like the parda system, marriage of children at a very small age, widow remarriage was not there. So he incorporated these social movements also, reform movements also in the national movement. And one more important social lever was untouchability. We know that from the very beginning, the society was divided into varnas, and as a result, the untouchable or the depressed classes, as they were called at that time, They were suffering a lot in the society, and Mahatma Gandhi wanted to do the maximum to uplift them. And then we have already studied when we did an activity on Salt March that the contribution of women. So the women were actively participating in the freedom movement at various places. They also went to the prison, and therefore Gandhiji involved each and every segment of the society in the freedom struggle. And Gandhiji also encouraged the participation of youth and students in the national movement. So now after this we are going to study in detail about that what were the different strands within the movement. Different strands within the movement means that how the people reacted to the non cooperation movement in the towns, in the countryside, and various other categories of people, how they reacted to the national movement.